the World Economic Forum just came out with their new jobs report for 2025, and my LinkedIn feed is now filled with people giving their hot take on that. Some of what I saw was novel and very interesting. Some of it was relatively consistent in the sense that even as AI is maturing and evolving and at a speed we can't necessarily predict, but they did a reasonable job trying to do so. But one of the things that stood out to me over the last couple of years is what are the most in demand skills that are expected through 2030, I think this report talks about. And to no one's surprise that's been paying attention to a lot of this, those top skills that are in demand are not technical skills at all, right? They're human, cognitive, leadership, management kinds of skills. I'm curious about how Reejig, or how you personally, and how Reejig, and maybe how your clients think about that in the context of building their sort of ontology and just thinking about that as they use this for workforce planning and lots of other things.
Yes. So I agree with you. So there's a focus and a continuous focus that is not new and has been like that maybe the past 7 years on the human skills, whatever they call it, the skills that are kind of that only human can ultimately have. So the ones that we will not be replaced by AI. Got it? Okay. I think there's from my perspective, that's one that's not new. Second, I think what we will have to do is to probably change a little bit the way that we think as well. One of the premises in all our the education system somehow tells us that we need to think linear, right? Even math, right? The way that we teach math, it's that we need to think linear. And the reality is that now with AI, you don't need to think linear, you need to think systemic. So it's a big shift one way or the other. So we continue to see, and one of the things that we do at Reejig, we estimate and we infer what are the tasks that are more exposed to automation, right? And if you have production tasks, they are typically kind of technology based. There's a high level of exposure to automation. Now, if you start having more management tasks, the exposure is lower. If you start to go more to leadership tasks, the exposure is lower, right? So if you start to go more kind of innovation, the exposure is lower as well. So we do a lot of that work because not only we show the work at the task level, but we also start making sure that you understand what are the tasks that ultimately will be less human and that will be automated and given to agents and AI agents and AI workers versus those that will stay. We no longer, so it's not new, and we already have that embedded on our ontology. With every single deal and client that we go to, we provide them with this level of visibility. Now, they will have to make their decisions on what are the areas that they will be evolving in, most likely the most critical areas. But the reality is that gives you a little bit of time to be able to become the worker that you need to be in the future. Josh has just released one of his reports, and he starts to talking about in 2025 about this super worker. And what is this super worker? Is one that maintains a differentiation from the digital worker, so that knows that part is safe between brackets, but also another one which ultimately allows these people to understand how to deal with AI and how to leverage AI to become faster, better, more efficient, with better insights, making better decisions, and so on and so forth. That for me is the most critical thing, is to actually help people shift from a linear perspective to more of a system view and understanding what can be done with AI. And yes, still excelling on everything that is critical thinking, on everything that is innovation, on everything that is around reading cues with people in management and conflict management and so on and so forth. I think it's even more time for humans to become more humans, which is, I think, is bad. I think it's good. I think it's a good thing.
I do think it's a good thing. How can you make yourself more efficient and effective? And that puts you in an ideal, marketable position, because you just don't want to fall below wherever someone draws a threshold or red line.
I think we all get up in the morning, Bob, and wanting to be the best version of ourselves.